everybody, thanks for coming. This is going to be a quick general message. The cards that you have here, love reading, okay, so pertaining to love, somebody burned a bridge, final goodbye. You ghosted the person. They're going to never really be over you, and it's actually they're traumatized. They have some wounds, father or mother, and you kind of know, like, this wasn't love. They were kind of working themselves out onto you, projecting transference when inner healing is not done, wounds and all that, right? So this is really important when it comes up to freedom. Freedom does not mean trying to live in isolation. It does mean that when one is able to confront his isolation, he is able to consciously to choose to act with responsibility in structure of relations with the world, especially the world of other persons around him, in which case this person was not able to. Freedom is the capacity to truly become what we are, or what we truly are. Nine of Swords, somebody is in deep overthinking, hopelessness, and they have guilt. Okay, let's continue. Two of Cups, reversal. In this love situation, this is about saying there's no respect, no support, somebody lacked. You know, this could have been a platonic friend, a business friend. Yeah. There's not really a unification. If you're with somebody right now, maybe this breakup or imbalance or today or this week could cause some tension, especially because Uranus is conjunct in Taurus. And then with the moons coming up here, we do have the Two of Cups. So taking some bold action in your life and seeing clearly, right, what is going to benefit you in the long run. And who's willing to, it just doesn't look like you have another person in your life at this time. All right, the Two of Cups. You're not able to make a decision in love. And if that is the case, this could be the other person. They could not do that. And so the Nine of Swords occurred. Seven of Cups is a reversal. Temptation, confusion. Somebody was tempted. They went the other direction. If you're dealing with a love issue. If not, this means not to get too many options. Focus on one area of what you love to do. Because we have the dog spirits that says be loyal to what you love. So remember, you know, too many cups and you're left with none. So you got to be careful and decipher which cup you want to take. You can't choose them all. If this is an idea or something that you love to do or a person, it means doing what you love to do. Because love is all around you, 41. So surrendering right now to what is, right? You can't change the present moment. What you can do is change how you feel about it and have a better attitude, okay? Knowing what you want, the self-direction aspect. Knowing what one wants is the simple elemental form of what in the maturing person is the ability to choose one's own values. So self-chosen goals. He knows what he wants, no longer simply as a child wants ice cream, but like a grown-up. So he works through that. So this is about, so values can be confused in this aspect here. All right, so society comes in and says, hey, I'm going to talk to you about, you know, you're worth something because you have this degree. Now, they're only valuing you for your skill, right? So this is talking about you, valuing you in something that you love to do. That's a hobby, right? And hobbies can turn into skills. So surrender to the fact that maybe you're working less hours or working too much, that you're not able to produce that, what you want to do in a creative way. But, so this has a lot to do with the goal. Okay, knowing what one wants is essential for beginning. So first, knowing what you want is going to be very key here. Okay, from 2 to 12 years old, or, well, let's just put it like this. I'll backtrack just a minute here. So accepting the fact that you're choosing yourself, you're choosing what you love, and loving one's fate with what you want to do with your life. But discipline's going to be necessary. And the way you're going to do that is to surrender to the fact of what that is. All right? So that's inward freedom. And a lot of people don't know how to gather or rally that up. They don't know what freedom is. So they're always trying to escape with drugs, food, people, whatever, right? So you don't want to have psychological suicide here and take your own life by choosing something that someone else does, or an attitude that's not alive for you. That really actually puts you back, right? So you exist here in this universe to have the will to live. So that means to fulfill your destiny, one's own destiny, right? So the Greeks called this logos, the natural law, to live, to be happy. Page of Wands. Lack of direction, lack of success. We had that in the last reading. Not much has changed from yesterday. Lack of success. All right, so somebody is not creative. If I'm looking at this from the other person's perspective, they lack some structure to act. I don't know what that's about, but there's got to be, you got to create structure. And sometimes that can be hard for some people. They need that punch, 9 to 5, 9 to 5. They need that person to, finger clap them on, right? So, let's clarify here. Judgment. Oh my God, we're getting all the reversals. Self-doubt, self-judgment, and weakness. You have to make a life-changing decision, but it could be this, that, and the other. You're not ready to act on something, or this other person's not ready to take any initiative at all. They have too much doubt, judge, and they're weak. This is not the person for you, so you need to totally cut that cord. Looks to me like they're karmic, and yes, it keeps showing up in the readings. Okay. They were not conscious. They did not choose one choice, Free will is interesting. This is the kind of isolated electric button called free will. Freedom versus determinism are on a false basis, just as it is false to think of freedom as kind of an isolated electronic button called free will. Freedom is actually shown in according one's life with realities. Realities as simple as the need for rest and food, as ultimate as death. So, in other words, when you are in your own attitude that is out of order, then you are not able to approach freedom correctly. This is meaning, too, behind when we accept the realities, not by blind necessity, but by choice. This means that the acceptance of limitations need not at all be a giving up, but can and should be a constructive act of freedom. And it may well be that such a choice had to struggle against any limitation whatever. The man who is devoted to freedom does not waste time fighting reality. Instead, he extols reality, I guess you could say. Surrender. So, if you want to say it from that perspective, freedom is in how we relate to the realities of our life. So, it is our capacity to mold ourselves. And in this way, this person is not able to, right? Was not. People are stuck in psychological issues due to social world and conditions. And that's what causes them to not live up to their potentialities. The gift of the greatest freedom to people is freedom not defined by negativity and defensively, but positively. This is the opportunity to realize ever great human values. So you need to develop and use your potentialities and to labor as a human being. This is your maximum opportunity for each person, not just you, but to realize it yourself. Gosh, more pentacles, more reversals. Mishandling of money, financial stress. Now, that could be the other person. Now, if this is a person that is karmic, you learned your lesson in the love aspect, but also this could relate to you in how money could be stopping you. Two of Pentacles. So you have to find some judgment. Maybe you need to start something new. It's the emotions. Giving up, competing interests, self-doubt, self-judge. Wow, this is a terrible reading. Seven of Pentacles, slow growth planning. Okay. All right. You have to get into a routine. To plan. There we go. All right. Now, this person would have took all your money. You called judgment on them. They lack some emotional investment and you did all the work. Now you're realizing love's all around you and the Seven of Wands is saying, hey, you know what? You need to hold your ground. You have to work to stay there, wherever there is. And it may not be a good there, but you're there. Surrendering now. Being in the present moment, the I am. All right, let me go back. I wanted to touch on some other things. All right, there's rebels, right? No standards, no rebel, right? So some people who do not develop standards of their own are very rebellious. I deal with children like that, right? They're rebels. Okay, and that's a substitute for a more difficult process of struggling to one's own autonomy, to new beliefs, to the state where one can lay new foundations on which to build. But it's actually a substitute. The negative forms of freedom confuse freedom with license and overlook the fact that freedom is never the opposite to responsibility. So, in other words, the rebel gets his sense of direction. He's a little kid. He gets to do whatever he wants. He's getting his vitality from attacking the existing standards and mores. He does not have to develop standards of his own. So, therefore, this is a problem, right? And that's kind of what I see this person. He can't have any freedom to earn his living his own way. Then he can have no freedom at all. Freedom of mind, peace of mind. And I think maybe some people like this never got peace. They've had so many experiences that now when we want to talk about Chronos and time is irrelevant. It's the experiences, the meaningful experiences, and the experiences that you have that kind of talk about how you can tap into your quality and powers, right? You can't really tap into your qualities and powers if you're stuck in the past, right? I'm going to talk about that transference for a minute here on that person because one does not nearly actually talk about their past relationships, even in therapy. So these actions speak louder than words. The basic conflicts do emerge directly in the consulting room with anger, dependency, love, or what not that the patient feels towards the person or a therapist, right? So though this person could be acting out or maybe not aware at the time that this is what he is acting out or she, this is why there's experiencing counselors, like experiential. They're more powerful and they're more creative instead of then talking. Talking is not good for a lot of people. I'm not going to lie. Not everybody wants to talk because it shows them their true mask, themselves, right? Face to face. It's like moral integrity. Like they have to become aware. It's a high degree for people of awareness for oneself to experience. And the less one is conscious of himself is as the one who acts, that is the more unfree and automatic he is, the less he will be aware of the immediate present moment. So If they're trying to avoid boredom, they work as though like you're not yourself type of mentality. This can cause a half asleep. So you don't want to be between oneself and the present moment. So that's why we have that surrender now. All right. I could talk and talk. All right. So that could be a very naked feeling for a lot of people, this face-to-face with reality, where you cannot flinch, right? And things are confronted in the moment. The intensity could be too much. But maybe that person, you helped them. And they needed your help, right? You gave them the best shot you could give them. I'm not going to lie. You did everything you could. There's nothing you could do. You can't separate yourself, though, right? So stay in the present moment. Don't live in the past. Don't live in the future, because what happens is you're separating yourself. And when trauma happens, you're splitting the separate self, right? And that's why they have, people talk about trauma bonds and all that. But this is different. This is the soul. This is the separation of the soul, like splitting. Right? Part of the soul gets, a lot of people with post-traumatic stress disorder, anything like that. Let's see. So I'm going to pull a couple more here. So sometimes when we have people that are in our younger years, they come up to us, right? They actually can create us more anxiety when we get older because we're still living in that memory. And I think I pointed out on memory last time. 10 of Pentacles, establishment, wealth, and success. The only way you're going to achieve this is you need to pick one thing. And it's going to be a slow growth. You can't do 4 things, 5 things. Maybe this is just to maintain a little work-life balance. Right, how you spend your time, your downtime. You need, 2 hours a day of quiet? Is very important. Most people don't ever get an hour, only when they're sleeping. We can't serve time. That's an accurate expression, has it for being said, you're in jail, right? So we can't really serve time. We use time to help us in a productive way. Being aware of time, you can control it and use it in certain ways, right? Especially when you work in yoga, you're in the present moment. So just want to touch on a few things. It's about the meaning of the experience. So every time you pick up the phone, have a conversation, listen to a tarot reading, listen to an astrology reading or horoscope, you're getting an experience from that person, right? And how is that making you feel? What are they saying? Is it relating to something in your reality that can help be constructive for you? And does it give you any goal, right, towards your goal? Is it pushing you there? Now, let's see. The past is how to meet the present by reenacting the event in imagination. So the best thing for a lot of people to do is reenact it with another person. Now, if this is you or the other person, maybe you were that person to reenact it with. And that's why that transference showed up. But that's also a karmic situation. I'm not going to lie. Okay? That's, in a lot of ways, if I could put this into semantics for you. Today, I think that, okay, let's see. Let's go back. I'm going to go back to this big part of what I was going to try and tell you, how you're going to gain the confidence, ethics. All right, you can't self-blind yourself. We had the 2 of Pentacles. I know it's not, but we did have the 2 of Swords in the last reading. And we also have the 2 of Cups. Okay, Let me go back here for a second. And I'm going to read the twos because there's a balance in your cups and there's an imbalance in your money. So love and money, right, do not go hand in hand. So if you're in a relationship that's a business partnership, this is not, it's feasible, it's working, but I don't think that it's helping your emotions. And I think maybe if you are in a situation like that, it's not offering you any choices. 7 of Wands. None. Absolutely none. You're pretty much stuck with where you're at. And you're trying to get to the 10 of Pentacles. It says here you're thinking about the future, though. So this is a good sign. You know it's a slow process. Yeah. Yeah, the transference with people, repression and conflicts put onto you caused you to have a delay in your life. Yeah. And it sabotaged you from opportunities. Now you're pulling your bootstraps together and saying, you know what? I am going to not surround myself with people who have neurotic needs, who are repressed, right? Repressed. Children and crazy people tell the truth, okay? The popular idea, though, that people cannot see truth because their selves get in the way is therefore false. So it is not the self which makes us see through the glass darkly. It is rather the neurotic needs, repressions, and conflicts. So that's the transference part. So if you think about that, why people are blocked, they lack self-awareness, which leads us to call error truth. So the person that lacks self-awareness, the more he is prey to anxiety and irrational anger and resentment, and while anger generally blocks us from using our more subtle, intuitive means of sensing truth, anxiety also blocks us. I'm going to pull you a couple more here. Just a moment. And then I'm going to let it go with this reading. So the truth is one experiences truth and moving ahead as a thinking, feeling, acting, right? If that's the manifestation everybody's talking about, being in unity. But unity is yoga. It means to yoke, right? So making your truth universal of your source within, right? I'm going to touch on that here too, on that seeing yourself. You gain confidence in what you say when you're able to see your own image in others' eyes and in the world around you. So therefore, you're able to see truth to go along with emotional and ethical maturity. You're in your own convincing beliefs. You're on your own pulse. You're in your own experience. Rather through abstract principles or through being told, right? You gain that humility. So you see what's been distorted, and now you're really in kind of, I have humility, and that does not weaken the strength of one's stand for one's beliefs, though. It actually keeps the door open for new learning, so it's good. 10 realms. 10 of Pentacles after the 10 of Pentacles. Major Arcana, Destiny, the Cup of Wine. Masculine and feminine. You're literally working out a maze. I'm just kidding. Let's read it. 10. You're at you're actually past the completion stage because this is a Major Arcana. This is the last card I'm pulling for you, so let's really hone in on it here. I see this card. Highborn, old secrets, life stories. You need to either write a story. Oh, I know. Okay, this is about not allowing events, okay, to rule your destiny. Okay, wait, let me read that. To rule your destiny. Abundance, richness, target, time frame, health and wealth, holographic principles, illusion, higher cause. So you've been here many incarnations, reincarnated. That's why it's so hard for you. Who's ever watching, right? And I think that other person has as well. And that's why you have a really good, you're able to tap in and tune into them but it's going to take them a long time because you did a long time of work, almost 10 years. You could be 10 years older than them. It might take you too 10 years to build the financial wealth that you want. But 7 is going to be a very important lucky number for you because you could be at your 7-year itch. This could be your glow up period right now. Right? Maybe you had one or will have one in 2027. That's when the money will start working for you. I think you're doing, I'm going to go into a more of a money reading, but I'm going to say that, let's see here, last but not least. All right. I kind of wanted to talk about love, the 3 stages of love. Each step is dependence, dependability to interdependence. And so if one of those steps is not achieved, like right here, the codependence here causes people to lose out on financial and love. That's the really basis of this majority, right? Marketplace orientation. We use love for buying and selling, right? And so this is an illustration here of saying, you know, the fact that many parents expect their child to love them as a repayment for taking care of them, that could be that person. But this can also be a situation where you're kind of going through how you're viewing love in a different perspective. Like, you know, you weren't demanded, you know, payment to love someone else. So you're in the opposite ballpark than that person. So most children do learn to pretend to have certain acts of love if the parents insist on it, but sooner or later it's more of a demand. Love is actually equals to give. Love gives equals maturity. That's all you need to know. And virtue is the root word of masculine strength, which is virality, and that is the tenderness that goes along with one's strength. So tenderness and strength and gentleness are the truth, right? Masculine is truth, which means virtue. So somebody is very much in their feminine. It is true, though, that one is merged with the other, and you cannot lose yourself in love. You're merged. That's the unity aspect. All right? So when people say, I'm going to lose myself, or if you did, I'm sorry. But there is a price to people who have increased emptiness here because they want to vanquish their loneliness. And their loneliness is projected. And that's what happened here. The dependence. You can only love in proportion to your capacity for independence. Right? I know a great writer talked about this and said a statement that a child cannot learn to love anybody before he is a pre-adolescent. You can get him to sound like it, to act like it, and believe it, but there is no real basis. And if you stress it, you get queer results, because many of which become neurosis. So until this age for capacity for awareness and affirmations of other person has not matured enough for love. So as an infant and a child, he is quite normally dependent on his parents, and he may still be one or the other, or lack a tendency to continue to, the bear or doll makes no demands to him, so very not narcissistic, but almost like he does not have to force himself beyond his degree, right? Those are the breadcrumbers we're talking about. So what I'm saying is that he does not have to force himself beyond his degree of maturity to empathize with their needs. The live dog is an intermediate step between the inanimate objects and human beings. So hopefully this is like a deeper form of a demand for love, which is not love, is sacrificing, okay? And that's bargaining. And a lot of people bargain right now. So don't be bargaining. I think that's the thing is, you know, it's all about to our own capacity to show love. So let's go back for one more minute. We're going to look at the greatest block to a person's development of courage is having to take on a way of life which is not rooted in his own power. Let's clarify that with some cards. I'm going to pull this one more here. Gotta take some power. 8. Yeah. Strength. Okay, good. So this is good to have. This is about patience, influence, compassion, and courage. You're being influenced outside by nobody. 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 It does not appear that way. You're actually seeking inside your own North Star at this time to get to your royal maze. Okay? I'm going to read the moth spirit and then I'll close it off. There. 39. Alright, this is about moderation. Don't be burned out. It's easy to switch from one addiction to another, distracting yourself, discomfort of uncertainty and thoughts and emotions. When you aren't pursuing a goal, that's why it's important to pursue your goal, right? We have the goal card here. You need to look at the addictive tendencies that need to be toned down. Yeah. Yeah, that's tone down you don't want to head into a fire if you're not in moderation. Moderation, whatever that is, food, drug, drink, eat, pills, whatever. You know, spending time with yourself, taking baths, doing things that are in moderation. Because the Temperance card is in reverse, so that's going to cause an imbalance in your emotions, right? And that's what you have here. So your emotions is what's causing this issue of money and love, and if it's not, it's the other person. But 8 is a set representation here. Let's read number 8. Let me see. Oops. Let's look at accelerated. You're going to move fast. That's all it's saying is things are going to pick up for you here. You need to make some action though. They're not going to pick up if you're not moving. Right? So this is the time for you to make that move and do what you got to do. Right? Stay the course. Limit yourself. You know what you got to do. It's really challenging if you don't have anybody by your side. I understand completely. Right? We're all in this together. So this is also saying you need to be enthusiastic. Don't lose that. What are you needing to act on right now? You need to take advantage of these ideal conditions. You could be in a perfect situation and you don't even know it. Now isn't the time for you to fight against the river. Trust and have faith, go with the flow. So you are in a great position right now to do what you got to do. Whether it is to continue to save money where you're at, for the time being, do that. Okay? Things aren't going to happen overnight. This is going to take like 7, 8, 10 years. Okay? Whatever this is that you want to pursue. Okay? Your destiny is at hand here. There's something at destiny. I'm gonna pull one more card, you guys. There's something in destiny that's here. But should I pull it or not? Let's pull one more on that. The destiny of royal maze. Okay? I think this has a lot to do with the emotions of people's projections onto you. That's why I really got in on it there for a minute. And how it self-sabotaged you from creating financial security for yourself. You know, or to pursue that. It kind of took you in another direction for a long time. Whether it was in a relationship or not. Four curved blade. You're not confused. You're not confused. You know what you need to do. Okay, this is also talking about communication. You could be Gemini, Libra, or an Aquarius, or you need to go to a Gemini, Libra, or an Aquarius. Okay, let's read the four curved blade. This is also implying to voice. 4 is swords. Yeah, so contemplate, prepare, meditate, rest and relax. Right now. Right now. That's what you have to do. Because things are going to pick up and then you're going to end up having to move into the destiny, the fate. Something's fated, going to happen to you. It could be 10 weeks from now, 10 months, 10 days. You know, maybe it's a quick move. Maybe it's a quick breakthrough in your mind. Maybe you just get an aha moment, but it's something 10. All right, let's read the four-card blade. All right, because it's in a reversal, you're not confused. Your thoughts and things are not misplaced. So the past information is being revealed to you right now. You're realizing there's a misplacement in your world. Something's related to a situation that confused you. It could have been that person. You have troubles with sales, advertising, and promotion, or you need help with that. You need help with advertising and promoting yourself. That's the dilemma here. You need to find somebody who's willing to business partner up with you. All right, shout out to my lovely tarot people, Golden Era, who I listen to. Jane Tarot Astrology, who I also listen to. Shout out to Annie Battiselli. And they always give me little hearts. So thank you, everybody. I hope this helped. Have a great day.